Eden Utilities can help your organisation to convert the energy it uses every day into a more sustainable source of supply. We are a professional, totally independent but friendly utility consultancy that can offer any organisation a way of converting its own waste into energy. This provides a number of beneficial rewards. So, if you already recycle items like plastics and paper, you could now use the rest of the waste your business creates to generate power for use back into your organisation. If you don't do any recycling yet, you could start now, without the need for any additional effort or large investment in time or cash to accommodate the initiative. Our Eden Infinity product provides your business with a way of not only helping the planet, but also saving you money. Your business creates waste. That waste is collected, and then we work with your energy supplier to ensure that the power generated from your waste is used to supply electricity back to you. In doing something like this, along with doing your bit to help save the planet and meeting your business's green targets, it provides great PR for your organisation, sending a very positive message to your suppliers, clients and stakeholders. It's something to be very proud of. At Eden Utilities, we pride ourselves on being unique with our continuous innovation, along with our ethos of providing a fully transparent pricing model to all our clients. Our personable approach means we always work with you to find the best for you. We regard ourselves as an extension of your business, a partner. Eden Utilities, your sustainability partner.
It's match day, it's live, it's episode 5 of Talk of the Town. Hello, welcome to episode 5 of Talk of the Town, as we will bring you all the build up here before the Reds kick off at 3 p.m. against high-flying Morecambe. Morecambe obviously had a steaming start to the season, winning 4 out of their first 5 games and do sit pretty at the top of the league, but hopefully not at 5 p.m. this evening. Of course, you can watch the live action on iFollow from 3 p.m. for just £10. If you are a season ticket holder, it is of course free. So log into your iFollow account. You should have been sent a code from Katie in the ticket office. If you're a season ticket holder, pop that code in and you will get this game free of charge. If you are not a season ticket holder, you can still follow the action for just £10. Follow the instructions there and you can tune in as hopefully the Reds get back to winning ways here this afternoon. Another way you can support the club, as always, is Ballers. After the success last week of our meal deal offer, we are offering a burger, chips and a can of drink for £5 once again on collection only. So if you can get down here to the stadium, grab yourself a burger, chips and a can of drink for just £5. Loads of people raving about that last week, so don't miss out, get involved. If you can't get down to the stadium, of course you can use Just Eat or Uber Eats. Log into the app and they will bring it to your door whilst you watch the action. We've got a great show here this afternoon, a number of people popping by. We've got Ben the groundsman's going to pop in to talk about what's going on the pitch, and Steve Alliston, the club chaplain, is going to pop in and talk about his role. I also caught up for a walk around the pitch with Erdem Konya, really interesting interview with Erdem talking about the transfer window and also Project Big Picture, which was the big topic, the whole football pyramid this afternoon. John Yems, as always, will be swinging by, and we will finish the show on a high with higher or lower, of course. We also have someone from Morecambe popping in to give us the Morecambe view. This week, obviously, we had 2 games here at Arsenal on Tuesday, but let's start by looking back at last week's Saturday game against Cheltenham.
To defend this one well. Right into the danger area. Loops up and over the goalkeeper. And Cheltenham have taken the lead. But it's Will Boyle that's claiming it in a crowd of players. It may well have just flicked off Tony Craig, the Crawley defender last. Certainly Boyle was in there making his presence felt.
33 minutes, number 15, Will Boyle.
Boyle will claim the goal. Cheltenham won't care who gets credited with it. They've taken... Nichols uses it to run. Players waiting in the centre. Too many red and white shirts back behind the ball though. And there's no way through for Crawley. They still trail by a goal to 0. Work to do in the second half, you feel. Despite Cheltenham's excellent start to the season, they did lose their last league game here. 2-1 defeat to Morecambe. They're pressing, looking for a second goal, and they've got a second goal 3 minutes into the second half. It's Andy Williams who gets his second goal since joining from Northampton. And Crawley have fallen asleep at the start of the second half.
The second goal scorer for the Robins.
It was a lovely run from Matty Blair. He'll take full credit. Perfect pass. It was a lovely first touch from Williams and take nothing away from the finish beyond Glenn Morris. Lovely football from Cheltenham, and they've doubled their advantage.
Here's the number 66, Miguel Aziz, bursting in to the Crawley half of the field. Plays a little 1-2, has an opportunity to run towards the edge of the box, gets it square. McAneff, left-hand side of the box, turns, drills it, and McGill makes a relatively routine save. But, John, that could have been far worse consequences there. Arsenal looking bright on the counter-attack.
Yeah, good little bit of play. Just took a good ball through there, but we look at our defending there a little bit. Need to be tucked in, but that's what they got. They've got the quality Arsenal to hit you on the break.
Yeah.
But we started well.
Who now rolls it infield. And Arsenal come forward towards the halfway line, slid out towards that far side for Aziz. Plays it through, one more, flag stays down. McGill in a one-on-one situation. Taylor Hart's gone round him, slides it across, and the visitors take the lead. Flag should have gone up, I think, according to what John is saying. Looking around, Lee Bradbury's looking around as well. But certainly in the 15th minute, the visitors have taken the lead, courtesy of a goal by Jordan McAneff. The offside trap was sprung a little bit, went round the goalkeeper, squared it across the goal, and McAneff rolled it into an empty net, John. But you're looking around thinking the flag should have gone.
I don't think he sprung it there. That was absolutely blatant offside. I don't know what the linesman was looking at, but I've got to be careful what I say. But they're them sort of things that get you the sack, and that was disgusting.
First half to get themselves back on level terms. Certainly deserving of an equaliser. I know that doesn't always get you what you should get, but the ball's been played out to that far side, and Watters has got Galash away to his left, and Watters is making inroads towards the edge of the box. He's got away from his man, and he drills it into the back of the net, and Watters gets a debut goal for Crawley Town, and it comes in the 37th minute, and it's no less than Crawley deserve for the way they've played in this opening 37 minute. And Watters picked it up just inside the Arsenal half of the field, ran a long way. Galash went away to the left-hand side. Watters kept going and drilled it low past the goalkeeper, and Crawley John back on level terms deservedly.
Very deservedly. He took it really well. It was a good run off the ball there by little Brian. He's opened the run up for him. Sam backing him up. No, he took it very well. I think he surprised Arsenal. You're not allowed to score against these normally, but no, he's done it brilliantly. Let's just hope we build on it now. No silly mistakes at the back. But no, he's a good player, Archie. He's another one, you know. Is he one that's quantity, not quality? I beg to differ.
Ball slid up to the edge of the penalty area. It breaks for Aziz, who drives it, and it's right-footed into the bottom corner. Aziz turned on the edge of the penalty area and drilled it low to McGill's right-hand side, and Arsenal restore their advantage in the 55th minute. Aziz turning edge of the box, driving a low shot low to McGill's right-hand side into the back of the net, and suddenly, out of nothing, John, there's the danger that you were talking about.
Delighted to say I'm joined now by Ben, owner of Complete Turf Care, who will sort our pitch out on a weekly basis as our groundsman team. Ben, before we come to you, we're gonna give the team news for this afternoon. In goal is Glenn Morris. The back four of Jordan Tunnicliffe and Tony Craig make up the centre half pairing. Josh Doherty and George Frankham at fullback. Jack Powell, Jake Hessenthaler, Sam Matthews, Tyler Frost, Tom Nichols and Ashley Naderson make up the starting 11. So 2 changes from Saturday's game against Cheltenham. Danny Bullman and Tarin Alarakia drops to the bench. Jack Powell and Sam Matthews come in for them. On the bench, Tom McGill, Joe McNerney, Nathan Ferguson, Brian Gallack, Alfie Davis, Max Watters, hoping to make his first league appearance today, and as I mentioned, Tarin Alarakia. So Bullman misses out on the squad altogether. Ben, firstly, let's start about the lineup. You're a regular at the game, though. You've been travelling to away games as well.
Yeah.
What have you made of the start to the season and today's squad?
Yeah, I think it's obviously been a tough start. New players gelling together and stuff like that. It's nice to see Sam Matthews in the side today. I think he's a bit classy and he can do something special for us this year. Jake Hessenthaler again. So I think once the boys start mixing and gelling and getting used to each other, I think we could kick on. Yeah,
and we were just talking about off air about the size of the squad, and obviously like there's a lot of competition for places.
Yeah.
How important do you think that is? Having sort of played football yourself and in the county leagues and things like that, where it's like a Saturday, Tuesday, certainly after the winter.
Well, you're going to need. Luckily, obviously, the owners backing John. It's a massive squad. Competitive place, I get your places and stuff like that. So yeah, once he gets his settled 11, will it stay like that? I think he's going to have to use everyone at some point. So
yeah, exactly. Now looking at the pitch, obviously over our shoulder, the pitch is still looking mustard
at the moment.
At the moment, you always say that whenever someone goes, the pitch is great at the moment. It's a fair point though. Obviously, with the pitch being so good, also it's being used a lot as well, isn't it? I know you're always conscious to express how much the game is. With the pandemic, obviously the season's shorter. Is that bad news or good news for your pitch?
Well, it was nice to have a break. We've done a basic renovation, not knowing whether the season was going to come back or whether we were going to get a long break. It turns out we could have done a big renovation, but we didn't. So, but it was nice to have some time, as opposed to 6 weeks to grow a pitch into 3 months. We've got a great root structure there, and look, let's see what the winter brings. Drain lines aren't showing up at the moment, which is great. Look. The fixture schedule was heavy. This is the 5th game this month. The temperatures are still up, so recovery is good. But December's looking a bit dodgy. But we'll see what the weather brings, and hopefully we'll just do our best and get through, and hopefully get a big renovation at the end of the season.
Yeah, because I remember the conversations that sort of you and the hierarchy at the club were having in March time. Because obviously the season had been curtailed, and I remember we were talking to the EFL and going, well, shall we do our pitch renovations now? Because if the season starts again, there'll be no summer to do it, and we need to do something. At one point, we were talking about a really big, like we did a few years ago, did a big renovation.
Yeah.
I suppose maybe frustrating that we didn't when we could have. However, we have still done a renovation rather than waiting.
I imagine some clubs didn't even do a renovation because of financial situations and stuff like that. Look, we got on it. We've had enough time to get it where we've got it, and it's good. It's proved the point to the club, always pushing me for a 6-week growing because of friendlies. The more time we have, the better we can get it. So
and people in the commercial department always looking to
hire it out.
Get
a bit of 10% and stuff like that.
Those guys,
I know who does that.
Obviously, we have Brighton ladies play here, and that is why the pitch usage is so high. Possibly even one of the highest in the whole football league, I can imagine. How many games are we expecting to have this year?
So I think we're at number 12 or about 44, 45, depending on cup games and stuff like that. It's not so much, it is the games, but it's the recovery between. We need a break for the pitch to recover. It doesn't look like we're going to get that. I think we're getting 10 days maximum recovery at the moment, looking at the fixture list. So, look, it all depends on the winter we have. Hopefully we won't have one like last year. That was just the worst one I've known. Obviously, when the major renovations were done 2 years ago, the pitch was superb all year, which meant we didn't invest in it the second year, but obviously the drain lines showed up last year, but hopefully they won't this year, and we can get that big renovation to get the part synthetic root zone in there.
Yeah, and I was just going to come on to plans for the future. Is that people probably be amazed how much goes into a pitch. I think people think you put a bit of seed down and hope it grows. But
that's it. Just cut the grass. Yeah, that's it.
But obviously, there's a lot more to it than that. What are your plans and the club plans, or what are you hoping happens?
Well, all depending if Brighton are going to be here, which we're hoping that they are. We're hoping to get a fibre sand root zone, which is little fibre particles, which means the natural roots can intertwine and it just makes the surface a bit more stable. The next thing after that would hopefully just be a couple of lighting rigs just to get recovery during the winter. But it's all money, isn't it? And at the moment, the fact that we're playing football is great. Let's just see what happens.
And finally on the pitch, obviously you were here 10, 15 years ago?
It's been nearly 9-10 years, yeah.
How much, as I remember we had problems with the pitch on a regular basis, how much better now is the pitch? Not just how it looks, but actually the structure of the pitch now than it was for 10 years.
So the drainage works because we have primary and secondary drainage installed. When people say we've had a new pitch, we actually haven't had a new pitch since I've been here in 10 years. It is still the same root zone. There is a bit of anaerobic soil in there, but because we're doing regular aeration and work with the consultants from STRI, it is in a good place. There's still issues there underneath, but we know what they are and we deal with them. So.
Ben, really interesting. As I say, like we will show people too. Just think you turn up and cut the grass, but obviously there's a hell of a lot more to it. The pitch looks fantastic. So great work.
Thank you.
One of the big issues in football in general this week was the project Big Picture. I caught up with technical director Erdem Konya in the week to discuss that, and also the incomings and outgoings transfers at Crawley Town Football Club earlier in the week. So Erdem, obviously a big week for the whole football pyramid, with Project Big Picture initially and then talk of the bailout. Firstly, let's talk about Project Big Picture. What did you make of it? Obviously it's been scrapped now, but what did you make of it?
I mean, if I was to look at it in general, I was never for the idea of reducing the Premier League to 18, and I didn't like the idea that some people had stronger votes than the others. I didn't think that was a fair equilibrium for football. Ideally, all I'm concerned about is Crawley Town Football Club and what's the best thing for our club. So I need to try and we need the pyramid to become fairer so it can make us more self-sustainable. Some people say, it's a small club, this, that, the other, but at the end of the day, we're a big part of this community. We're the biggest club of Crawley, naturally, and we want our club to keep progressing and competing in the EFL, and that's the most important thing.
And I think one of the things from I think a lot of people saw what you said. It was a bit of a power grab at the top, but actually, in terms of making clubs at our level sustainable, there were some really good elements of it, which we would have loved to bring in, just ideally not at the detriment of the clubs in the Premier League, if you like. Yeah, I mean, yes, I understand that, but I think the answers in your question, again, in what you've just said, we have to try and become more self-sustainable. So it's good that we are visiting this now, and hopefully the future will be brighter for League One and League Two clubs, all EFL clubs, because everyone's hurting right now. Without the fans,
I think the transfer market's turned upside down as
Yeah.
well. If you look at the sales from League Two this year, there hasn't been anything substantial apart from the Ollie Watkins sell-on for Exeter, which is fantastic, which once again strengthens why you should have a brave and maybe a risky transfer philosophy at times, because if you have a structure and a transfer philosophy bedding in youngsters, it can lead to very good windfalls for the club.
Yeah, and sort of talking about, I suppose, transfers in some ways. We saw a couple go out last week. Ashley Nathaniel George went to Southend, and obviously Felipe Morais officially left the club. Can you sort of talk us through those deals?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with Felipe Morais. When we got Felipe Morais, we got him on a 3-year deal. We took a player from the Championship who's done well, had 17 assists on their promotion to the Championship the year before. I feel it was a wrong move now, being a 3-year deal. That's something that we've had to learn from. I think the variables haven't played well for Felipe's embedding into the club, is in the change of managers. I think the change of manager hurt Felipe's embedding into this football club, because that was a very important part of the process. However, that's something I have to learn from. I'll be honest with you, it's something that lives with me every day, because I always think, how did we get into a 3-year deal? And I question myself. And there's a lot of variables that I look at and that you have to learn from. And now he's gone, we mutually terminated. He's still done something quite very good for the football club in leaving on favourable terms. So I thank him for that.
And obviously a really important goal at Yeovil as well. Like,
yeah, I mean, look, it wasn't all bad, because he played in the Norwich game in the League Cup. He played in the Yeovil game, which was massive for the club's history.
The goal, yeah.
However, when you look at it, the 3-year deal in the beginning, there's a lot that I can't talk about, obviously, but there was a lot of pressure and there was a lot of movements which kind of moved away our negotiating power at the time. But that's something that I personally have to learn from. And unfortunately, for me personally, it's something that I'm not proud of. And what I've done at Crawley, that's not something that I'm proud of in the sense of the length of the contract. I'm proud of other bits, and hopefully I've made it up with the other good that I've done. However, it's something that we as a club, and me personally, definitely need to learn from. On Ashley Nathaniel George, very simply put, it's a player that doesn't want to be here. So if he doesn't want to be here, he can leave.
We don't want him here.
You know, it's that simple. And if someone that gets a 4-year contract from the Ryman Premier League, and you act that way towards an EFL club that's given you that chance, where no one in the world would have given you that chance, no one, then it says a lot about, unfortunately, the people around Ashley. I'm not gonna dig out Ashley, because he did well for us as well. But I'll say a few words about the people around him. I think these people, they see Crawley as a small football club, and in their minds, you know, they think they're high-flying agents. But in the truth of the matter, I've come from that game, and they're nowhere near the elite or the cream of the game. So good luck to them, and I hope they keep developing and progressing in their lives, but they should start getting a little bit grounded.
Sort of looking after maybe the players' long-term interests rather than sort of short-term.
Yeah, and the way they've conducted themselves is inappropriate. I think it's rude. But anyway, good luck to Ashley. You know, Ashley's one we plucked out, and he served us well. He scored goals for us. I think he could have been more consistent, but I wish him the best. And that's actually a positive on the recruitment we've had at the club. To bring in someone from Hendon, and then it didn't work out for him in the end. With playing time, this, that, the other, but I blame the entourage around the player.
Yeah.
And I'll go public on that. It's no problem at all.
And looking at incomings, we had a couple of signings this week. Obviously, Nico and Max. And Max, playing in his debut, has scored a goal against Arsenal. What can we expect from them?
I'll start with Nico. Played in the Maidstone game as well, in the trial games. He's a dynamic fullback. He's up and down. He's very offensive. Needs to work on his defensive game a little bit, but I'm excited by him. Max Waters, I mean, I only watched him 7v7s in the training, so right. I wasn't aware of what when you see the 11v11, it's different. The gaffer pushed him a lot. He likes him a lot, and fair play to the gaffer. From what I saw in the Arsenal game, we have someone who's tall, powerful, quick, will run for you all day long. He didn't miss a header, which was good. So I'm actually delighted to see that we've bolstered our forward ranks now. We've got 2, I'd say, designated strikers complete in Naddison and Nichols, and now we've got Ricky and Max to push for those slots as well.
Yeah. And finally, when does the transfer window close for us? Is it a couple of days' time, I believe?
Well, it's today being Thursday, obviously.
Yeah.
So we have until tomorrow. We've got we've got one lined up, hopefully.
To come in.
Yes, I'd say, quoting the gaffer, I'd say it's 99.9% done. Hopefully there's not any hiccups, but I'm actually genuinely excited to bring him in.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a proven player, obviously. But we're working on it. Hopefully by the time this comes out, we've got him in, and it's great. Otherwise, I'm going to look like a lemon.
Any look at going out? Maybe some loans or anything in that?
Well, I think, in all fairness and in all truthness, we have a very, very tough fixture schedule coming.
Right.
So you've got Saturday, Tuesday, and I think we should try and hold on to everyone until the 1 month has passed us, and then we can maybe loan out some of the young ones maybe to the conference.
Because you can still loan out after the window shuts.
Yeah, because the conference window, I think, is still carrying on. So I don't want to rush into loaning players out just in case we still have a squad that's in transition. I mean, it doesn't matter who we replaced. Look, we lost Bez, Panuch and Ollie. These guys, between them, probably wrapped up at the club 200 appearances. So you've lost 200 appearances in 2 years that have left you. It doesn't matter if we brought in the best players in the world. It's still, obviously it would, but there's a massive transition period. It doesn't matter who you bring in. Like, these are players that knew the club, they knew the players around them. What I'm delighted with, Tom Nichols has come in straight away. He's firing. You know, it's good to see. Tyler Frost has come in straight away. He's made an impact. He's playing games. He'll add goals and assists as well, which is good to see. So the transition is there, but we have to try and get the most out of everyone, because we have very hard games. You know, Morecambe are tough game. We go to Exeter and Salford back to back away.
Tough games. Yeah.
I personally think that's the 2 toughest away games. So we've had back-to-back Cheltenham, Exeter and Salford we're going to have. Now, if we got 0, I'd say, well, you know, it depends on the performance, but
I imagine the bookies would expect us to get 0 out of those 3 who break each game individually.
I know we can win every game as well. That's not a problem. But at the end of the day, these are tough games. So we need all the bodies with us, all the lads, and hopefully we can get a good points return from these games. You know, I mean, and it's a good test for us. But I want the fans to keep believing in us, keep believing in what we're doing. This is a critical year for the survival of the football club, both as a football club and as an EFL club. And we will, obviously our aim is to progress and keep competing, but this is where we have to stay united and keep the fans behind us. And I thank all the fans for everything they've done. They're always supporting us, even season ticket sales going up. Your work through sponsorship is fantastic. Like, it's just seeing that there is support and people do love it and care about this football club. And you know, we'll keep on trying and hopefully we'll get there. And that's the most important thing.
Hopefully that hard work will continue to pay off this afternoon at home to Morecambe. Back to you in the studio. I'd like to say I'm now joined by the gaffer, John Yems. John, firstly, before we go on, just want to touch on last week. We don't want to dwell on it, obviously, but I mean, there was a bit of negativity sort of from the fans, but actually probably people not giving enough credit to Cheltenham, because they were effective, weren't they?
It's effective what they do. You don't reach the playoff finals. They've had 2 or 3 years to build their side. Listen, you get negativity. You could win the lottery and win £2 million, and someone has said last week it was £2 million and £2. You know, that's just the nature of the beast you're dealing with. It just seems that everybody at the club and the players at the minute are trying their best, and we're trying our best, and all I get is always moaning about the ref, he's moaning about this, but of course, because it's a little bit, sometimes it's very, very frustrating. But let's see what happens, and we'll go on from there.
I think you could sense, I think when you're not in the ground, you don't get the full idea of the frustration necessarily, because I remember like Ben and Lucia and myself, we were in the director's box getting frustrated, like you and Lee on the dugout. We were the same in the director's box. But anyway, as I said, that's done. Looking ahead to today's game, Morecambe obviously flying. They've had a good start to the season, but they have conceded a fair few goals. They've got a minus goal difference, even though they're sat at the top. So certainly chance there for the taking.
As I say, I think a lot of sides, it's not even started yet the season. It's 5 games in. Maybe, you know, that they're getting the points on the board like good sides would do. He's a good manager, Derek. He's been around a long time. He knows how to play. He knows he's got to get the points on the board. I think they was favourites to go down. I think we were second favourites to some people every year. But no, good luck to him. You know, I hope it ends the day for him.
Yeah, so do I. Looking at our starting lineup, 2 changes from last Saturday. Jack Powell comes in for Bully, and Sam Matthews starts instead of Taryn today. But Sam obviously played Tuesday night. When he came on against Cheltenham, he really made a big difference to the game, I thought, and sort of changed it.
Sam Matthews, yeah, he's a good player. As I said, we've had to be a little bit careful with him because of the injuries that he's had in the past. But you know, when you look at it now, the season starts. I think now, you know, in my head and in everybody, once that transfer window shuts, and that's what you've got to deal with. And this is the squad, good or bad in some people's eyes. I'm very pleased with it. Always looking to add in the next window. You know, there's always things going on behind the scenes that even Erdan and that don't know about a lot of the time, but that's because me and Lee are on the phone every day and people are on the phone to us. Yeah. And I'd like to thank Southampton on the help that they give us this week. It's good.
I was going to come on to Jake Hesketh. For me, on social media, you're trying to get too involved in it, embroiled in it, but one thing you can always gauge a reaction from of clubs who he's played for previously, and looking on Twitter, I think he's played Lincoln, MK Dons, and Burton Albion. A lot of their fans are going, how has he signed for Crawley? That they really rate him highly. So a bit of a coup that was pulled off.
Well, yeah, but all said and done, you know, I spoke to Jake and I've spoke to the people at Southampton, and obviously Lee knows what goes on down the south coast, and people have appreciated for what we've done in the past, myself and Lee, and it's nice to see a Premier League club actually taking a bit of care and a bit of time, and Jake, you know, he's a good lad, as he's proved that he wants to go out and get himself a decent deal at the end of the season, or a decent contract, or a good, you know, and he'll get that through playing. He won't get that through sitting on his backside watching you every Saturday, will he?
And is he available? Not available today? Or?
He's available today. Yes.
Okay. So it's coming a bit too late. So just lastly, some people are saying, we've got a big squad, sort of varied. There's a lot of young lads in there, and we're going to need that. Looking at this week alone, we go away after this. We've got away to Exeter on Tuesday, away to Salford. Like, they're coming thick and fast.
But it's another one of my, you know, it's not me having a pop at the fans, because I don't mean to, but it's not a big squad. We haven't got a youth team. We haven't got a reserve side. So the players that we've got, I think we've got 6 or 7 boys that normally would be in an under 23 stroke a B team squad. The rest we've got challenging for positions, which we need. We've got 1 or 2 that, you know, well, 3 or 4 now, experienced lads in. We do attract good people, and, you know, I'm getting a little bit, it's not peed off, but you go to other grounds and you see how many staff some sides have got. You know, there's me and Lee, Bradders and Youngie and Bully now are on the football side, but they're still registered as players, and hopefully when Lewis gets back. So, you know, what goes around in one area, we're short in other areas. But listen, it is what it is. It's a club, and you'd be surprised when you see that other teams are paying wages and what Crawley have in the past to what we're doing now. You know, just have a little take stock, and I'd rather say, well, thank God we have got a few players that want to play for us, rather than be scratching, waiting at a bus stop outside K2, seeing who's got a football bag who wants a game.
And 2 members of that squad are Ashley Naderson and Jordan Tunnicliffe, and we caught up with them to play Mr. and Mrs. in the week. Thanks, John.
Cheers.
It's time for Mr. and Mrs. Sorry, what? Mr. and Mr. The Crawley Town Football. Who comes up with this stuff?
Afternoon, Reds fans. Welcome back to Mr. and Mr. Crawley Town edition. Today I'm joined by Ashley Naderson and Jordan Tunnicliffe. Lads, you know how this works? Going to ask you in round 1 5 questions about yourselves, and you've got to try and match as many as possible. You're going to try and beat Joe and Bully from last week. You ready?
Yep.
Cool. According to Wikipedia, so not necessarily a reliable source, who is tallest? Show your answers in 3, 2, 1. Oh, that's a match. So you got 1 point, but I can inform you, you're both wrong. According to Wikipedia, Ashley's 6'2". Jordan, you're 6'1".
Extra 3 inches.
So yeah, that's good though. You're on 1 already, so that's a great start.
Does that count as a if you get wrong?
Yeah, you got to match as many as you can.
Right, let's go.
Out of the two of you, who is the better looking?
Oh.
Show your answers in 3, 2, 1. Oh, that's a match. That's why you're being so down on yourself. You've got 2. You're doing well so far.
We're playing for the game, yeah?
Question 3. Out of the two of you, who is more vain? Who takes more care in their appearance?
Oh, in that way?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know this.
Show your answers
I know
in
this.
3, 2, 1. Oh, that's another match.
See this gear?
He's worn the same trackie for the whole time I've been here.
That's 3 out of 3. You're on fire then. Out of the two of you, who has the better dress sense? Actually, voted against yourself too many times.
I think that was answered in the last question, wasn't it?
3, 2, 1, show. Oh, that's another match. Actually, why are you doing it to yourself?
I don't turn up in Gucci, that.
We go for a drink and he copies me the next time we go out. He's got his gear right there before.
To get 5 out of 5 in the first round. In a game, who is more likely to get sent off? So who controls their temper better on the pitch? It's a tricky one, that. Show your answers in 3,
Sonny doesn't tackle.
2, 1.
Yeah.
Oh, it's another match. Do you reckon you are?
Yeah. Shouting at the ref. Shouting at the ref.
Can't fault you now, it's 5 out of 5. This one's a little bit tougher because it's about your teammates this round. 5 questions about your teammates. So
Absolutely
yeah,
flying.
Get your pads ready. Give you a second.
Nice, George.
Let me know when you're ready.
Yep.
Out of the entire team, and you can include backroom staff as well, who's the toughest? Or like the hardest? Who would you least like to come up in a 1v1 against?
As in a fight?
Yeah.
Got a lot of soft lads.
Including staff?
Yeah, you can include staff if you want, yeah. Alright. Jordan, you got someone in mind?
I don't know.
Show your answers in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Oh, I can't see. Who have you both gone for?
Joe.
Oh, I've gone Dallo.
Oh, it's not a match.
Big man Joe.
Big man Joe.
Lift the entire squad in, isn't it?
Out of the entire team, who is quickest? Who's the fastest? I can see who knows.
I think I'm up there. I've got a bit there.
Right, 3, 2, 1, show.
Ladders.
Oh, it's another match. You're on 6.
Daddy.
Tough competition, this.
To be fair, George getting quicker throughout the season.
Yeah. I'm not far behind you.
Out of the entire team, a bit similar to the first one, but at this time out of the entire team, who thinks they're the best looking?
Oh.
Who turns up to training, a bit of swagger in their step, thinking, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I
It's
know.
a tough one.
I know, and he's cringy with it as well. You don't get enough stick for it either, I don't think.
Right, 3, 2, 1, show.
I've gone 2.
Taryn.
Yes, it's another match.
Honestly, his Instagram videos and Snapchat videos are embarrassing.
I agree.
You two are on fire. Right, I think that's 7 matches now. You've definitely won already, I think.
You might as well quit after this.
Yeah, that's it. High score. Who would be the worst roommate on an away day? Who would you least like to share a room with? See, when Joe and Bully did this, they picked Tyler because he always talks about football. On an away day, you don't want to talk about football.
Oh, wait,
No.
two's out there.
Who would be the worst teammate?
I wouldn't say anyone's bad.
Oh no, there's a few bad ones.
Different opinions. This could be a tough one. This then.
You gotta give me.
A little time here. Jesus.
Yeah, no, all the time in the world. Look around. Not many lads left out there now, but
Because me and Tony were roommates last season, weren't we?
Yeah.
Banter flying.
you're not going to say each other then.
Nah. Well, I hope not. Who am I going to go for? Yeah, got a pick. I'm going for.
I've got your answer.
There's no reason.
No reason.
No.
Alright,
I'm
show
going to
your
cause a bit
answers
of upset here, I think.
3, 2, 1. Right.
Archie. Oh no!
No,
That's a shambles. Got a new nickname, the Vampire. That's why. Tony goes to bed at 10 a.m. 10 p.m. Sorry.
Right, last question to get 8. Who is the most entertaining squad member? Who makes you laugh the most? How does it straight on this?
Who's the most entertaining team, mate?
The last one.
This guy never. You can never have a serious conversation with this guy.
Right. George, you got your answer?
Got my answer.
3, 2, 1, show.
Bully. Bully.
It's another point. Was that 8 or 9 now you've got? I think it was
Round it to 10. 8,
I think.
8, I think, yeah.
8, I think. Well, that's a cracking score. Thanks for joining us, lads. See you next time.
Thank you.
Cool.
Okay.
Cheers.
We are live here with Gary Smith and Ben the groundsman. They are going to take part in Higher Lower. Gary's on air in 9 minutes. It's Higher Lower.
My God, it's higher or lower with talk of the town.
Okay, no messing about. Gary is live on BBC Radio Sussex in 8 minutes now, so we are going to get straight on with Higher Lower. You both know the rules, you both experienced. Gary's the current champion, Ben trying to take it down. Let's play. Question 1. Okay, last season, did Morecambe finish higher or lower than Crawley in the table? Last season, did Morecambe finish higher or lower than Crawley in the table? The audience is giving it higher, lower. Okay. Ben, you have gone lower. The champion, Gary, has gone lower. Morecambe finished 22nd. If we'd have finished lower, we'd have gone down 13th for Crawley. So the answer is lower. 1-1. Congratulations and breathe. Question 2. Crawley have been in the EFL now for 10 seasons. Have Morecambe been in the EFL in one block, that's up to now, higher or lower number of seasons? So we've been in the EFL for 10 seasons. In their current run, is it higher or lower than 10 seasons? Okay, Gary the champion, you've gone higher. Ben the groundsman, the challenger, has gone lower. Crawley have been 10 seasons. Morecambe have been 14 consecutive seasons now, so it is higher. 2-1 to the champion, Gary.
Oh no.
Okay, question 3. Danny Bullman has obviously had a number of different... he's been here in a number of different...
Spells.
Good, cheers, Gary. That's why you're the professional broadcaster and I'm winging it. So he's been in a number of different spells. Lewis Young has only been here one spell. In their current spell, so Danny's current spell and Lewis's current spell, who has made the most appearances for Crawley Town? So in their current spell. So obviously Danny, after signing again from Wimbledon, Youngie signing. Who's been? Was you writing Danny there? The game's higher or lower, Ben?
You didn't give us a higher or lower option. You just said who's made the most appearances.
Sorry, okay. So, yeah, good point. I'm rushing. Has Lewis Young made a higher or lower number of appearances than Danny Bullman?
In their current spell?
In their current spell. Has Lewis Young made a higher or lower number of appearances than Danny Bullman in their current spell? Oh, a late change of mind from Gary. A late change of mind. Ben, you've gone
higher.
Gary's gone higher. Was his late change of mind correct? Yes, it was. Danny Bullman, 105 in this spell. Lewis Young, 213. Good change. What's that? 3-1. Okay.
3-2.
3-2.
3-2.
Thanks, Gary.
Sorry.
He just doesn't like me.
This is a complete shambles. I'm rushing.
We'll see what you really like now, aren't we?
My nan will be so disappointed.
Yeah.
Okay, question 4. Derek Adams and John Yems both joined their club last season. Has Derek Adams been at Morecambe a higher or lower number of days than John has been at Crawley?
You know that.
Has Derek Adams been a higher number of days or a lower number of days than John has been at Crawley? Gary the champion has gone, obviously you, higher. Ben has gone lower. If Gary's right, it's all over. We don't need the 5th question. John and Gary's back on air quickly. John joined on the 5th of December. So if Derek joined earlier, Ben's out. He joined on the 7th of November. Gary is correct. It's a higher number of days. 4 out of 4 for Gary.
Didn't want to go to extra anyway.
4-2. Round of applause from the crowd. Thank you very much. The most hectic game of higher and lower. You've got to go and do a pitch. You've got to go and do a radio commentary. I've got to stand here making up more rubbish. Gary joined me again earlier on to preview today's game. Let's see how it went. Radio Sussex commentator Gary Smith. Gary, thanks for joining us again.
You're welcome.
Obviously, 2 games this week to look at.
Yeah.
2 very different games, very different squads. But let's start with Cheltenham last week. Strange one, I thought. Like very, very strange game. Cheltenham, I actually think we've had a bit of stick maybe for we weren't quite the races, but Cheltenham, good side, I thought. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought they were very good, to be fair, Joe. And I was a bit surprised afterwards when John, off the record, said to me that if they're one of the best teams in the division, then he thinks the division is very poor this season. Might have been a little bit of sour grapes because obviously it was 5 or 10 minutes after a defeat, and he said the defeat came about because of an own goal for the first goal and a slip by Jordan Tunnicliffe that led to the second goal, which is fair enough in terms of that leading to the goals. But I think in terms of the possession that they had and the chances that they created as opposed to what Crawley created, I don't think anybody could really begrudge Cheltenham the 3 points at the end of the day. And I think the interesting thing, Joe, was that we talked about before the game their wide players of their 5-man midfield getting forward, and certainly Hussey on one side and Blair on the other were certainly bobbing forward, weren't they? And Creole Hussey, in particular, I thought was very impressive.
I think the word I'd use to describe from what I saw at Cheltenham last week was they were effective.
Yeah.
Weren't they? But maybe not the greatest side, like not a Crew last season who were a beautiful footballing side.
Yeah.
But Cheltenham were effective and did a job on us.
Yeah, and they've got the weapon of the long throw into the box, haven't they, that led to the first goal. There've been a couple of scary moments, and John said and Lee said as well, worked on that in training, knew that was going to come. Even Ashley Nadesan said that to me after the game, knew that was going to come. It's just a case of whether you deal with it or not. But when you've got a weapon like that in your armour, it's almost like having a corner, isn't it, as well? If it's close enough to the opposition 18-yard box, Tozer's just going to wipe the ball down and launch it in, and someone's going to get a flick somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. And then obviously Arsenal in the week, completely different setup, completely different side.
Yeah.
A lot of the players who maybe haven't featured earlier in the season. What did you make of that?
I thought Crawley played well on the night. I thought a little bit unfortunate not to get the at least a point from the game and take it to the the obligatory penalty shootout that you then have to have. But Arsenal had good quality. There's not going to be a bad Arsenal side, is there? If you sign for Arsenal, you're going to be a good player. All of them look comfortable on the ball. I was fortunate enough to have John summarising with me for the game, and he kept saying the problem was where Crawley were very good going forward was leaving themselves exposed at the back a bit because Arsenal were very quick on the counter-attack. And I think the first goal, despite a few appeals for offside, came because the Crawley attack broke down and Arsenal managed to counter-attack very quickly, as the first team would. Look, we see it week in, week out with the Arsenal first team. But I thought some of the players, it was good to get them some game time. I was very impressed with Watters up top. Wouldn't be at all surprised if he's involved in the squad somewhere this afternoon. I thought it was good for Sam Matthews as well to get a bit more game time. Obviously, he came off the bench last week, but he got a bit more game time there.
And he was superb, got off the bench.
Yeah, exactly. Good to have him getting back into the possibility of being able to start the game, maybe influence the game for the first hour or so before changing it round. And I think John was just generally pleased with the way that the side played. We seem to knock it about quite comfortably, and sometimes that comes from playing against the side who want to play the same way. So, no disrespect to any sides in League Two, but some of them, like you were saying, like Cheltenham, are very sort of direct in the way that they play, and you find yourself dragged into playing that way. When you're playing a side like Arsenal, who like to get it down and knock it around, you develop the same sort of way of playing, don't you? And I thought despite the defeat, Crawley acquitted themselves very, very well on Tuesday night.
I think one thing that really sort of highlighted to me on Tuesday, looking at that lineup that played against Arsenal, there was a lot of players there who have been in the past established sort of first choice players.
Yeah.
And at the moment they happen to settle for sort of playing in the leasing.com and sort of fighting for that place. So the likes of Joe McNerney, Tom Dallison, Sam Matthews. I know he featured at Cheltenham, but he played again. And then obviously the Jake Hesketh has come into yesterday on deadline day.
Yeah.
Max Watters, I've heard good things about him, and he obviously got his first goal on Tuesday. Good strength in depth. We have almost got two or even three sides in some positions where there's a lot of options.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think someone else who acquitted themselves well during the course of the game was Brian Galash, who's regularly on the bench for league games, but he was lively up top. Watters was very lively, and Watters just strikes me as, I interviewed him after the game, strikes me as the sort of player doesn't really care for reputations, whether it's going to be Arsenal under-21s, whether it's going to be Morecambe who are top of the table. Yeah. He's just out there. He doesn't care. He's a little bit rough and ready, maybe a little bit naive in places.
Right.
But he worked hard and he got in front of defenders and he ran well with the ball and got into good positions and obviously got his goal as a reward. He said himself he felt he was a little bit fortunate because it sort of went through the keeper when maybe the keeper should have saved it. But as a striker, making your debut when you've stepped up from National League South, that's what you want, isn't it? A decent performance and a goal to round it off.
Hit the target, give him something to say.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly that. Looking at today, a tough game against Morecambe. Traditionally, Morecambe are the side where you think if you stay above Morecambe, you're staying up.
Yeah.
That's what seems to be everyone's target every year.
Yeah.
Finish above Morecambe, because if you do that, you're staying up. But this year they played 5, won 4, absolutely flying. What have you made of their start?
Well, I think they've recovered very well from a hefty defeat in the second game of the season because the only defeat, as you said, it was a 5-0 home reverse against Cambridge, who are another side who have started very well. So I think to come back from that and then win the next 3 and suddenly find yourself top of the table, points-wise, not just on goal difference. And I think the fact that they're 3 wins out of 3 on the road for them so far this season, they'll come into this game absolutely full of confidence. And I think it's going to be a very tight one because they're obviously a good side this season. 3 out of 3 on the road, as I've just mentioned. But Crawley are also 11 league games at home, unbeaten, certainly since John took over. I think back end of November last season was the last time a league team came here to grab a victory. And John and Lee and the players will be desperate to maintain that record this afternoon. I think if they do that, even if they don't get the win, if it turns out to be a draw, I think that'll be a very decent result against the current league leaders.
Yeah, and I mean, it's impossible to really compare at this stage of the season. But if you look at the teams they have played, they beat Cheltenham away. We've played that fixture.
Yeah.
They played Port Vale and won. They've beaten Southend. So they have played a lot of the sides who
Similar sides.
They got the same result as us, a 3-2 win away at Oldham.
Yeah.
So they have played 4 of the 5 sides that we've played as
Yeah.
well. So looking at that, we're in for a tough afternoon.
Yeah, very much so. I think the funny thing about them being top at the moment is from that 5-0 reverse, they haven't quite managed to recover that goal difference. So they sit top of the table with a -1 goal difference at the moment. And neither of the 2 sides at the moment, Joe, I know you love a stat, neither of the 2 sides at the moment have managed to win any game this season by more than 1 goal. I think they've been winning 3-2 at Oldham, they won 2-1, I think they've won 1-0.
Yeah, you look at it, they look like a side on paper, I've not seen much on Morecambe, but they look like a side who score goals, but also are prone to conceding goals.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So hopefully it'll make for an entertaining
It
game.
could be an entertaining one this afternoon. It's either going to be very tight and there won't be too many goals, or else there'll be goals flying in all over the place and I'll run out of notepaper to be able to keep up with what's going on.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed for the latter. Give us some extended highlights next week. So finally, what are your predictions? What are you hearing on social media? What are the predictions for today?
There's a lot of people who are confident that Crawley are going to get a win this afternoon. I've had a couple of people say it's going to be 2-0. I've had people say it's going to be 2-1. I think the important thing for Crawley this afternoon, Joe, is that they get the first goal. Crawley have only scored once in the second half of a game in the league so far this season, and that was Tom Nichols' goal away at Oldham that made it 3-1 at the time. And we talked last week about the game against Southend where Crawley was so dominant in possession and couldn't find that second goal in the second half to put the game to bed. I think if Crawley can get on the front foot here this afternoon, take the game to Morecambe, not worry about their reputation as the league leaders or anything like that, if they take it to them, get the first goal, then I think they've got to try and build on that as opposed to try and sort of sit back and defend what they've got and make them come out a little bit, because that will expose Morecambe, to gaps. The longer the game goes on, Crawley might be able to exploit that. Saying that though, I think I am going to sit on the fence this afternoon and say that it's going to finish 1-1.
Well, one place you'll be hoping that there isn't a draw is higher or lower this afternoon, where you take on Gary, obviously the reigning champion of higher or lower, taking on Ben the groundsman this afternoon.
Wow. Okay.
So that'll be the winner. The winner goes away at Morecambe and plays away at Exeter on Tuesday. So obviously you'll be joining us later.
I will.
Back
I'm looking forward to that.
Gary, as always, thank you very much. Thanks for the insight and thanks in particular for the stats.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Jeff.
Last week we added in the view from the opposition whilst we were away at Cheltenham. Delighted to say this week I'm joined by Glenn from Morecambe's iFollow. Glenn, safe trip down?
Very safe trip and a very speedy one. We were set up at 7:30, no traffic all the way down, and we were in the pub at 12:30 down in the plough down.
In the plough, okay, nice, old school, good. Well, I appreciate you joining us. Thank you very much for taking the time. I know you've got to get on air very shortly. Start off with Morecambe. Normally are the not the whipping boys of the division. They always stay up. They're always there. But it's normally a case of if you finish above Morecambe, you're safe because they'll finish. They'll do just enough. This year, 4 wins from 5 in flying.
Yeah, flying, I think maybe putting it a bit too strong when you see the actual games. There's not been a game that we've completely dominated. I would say Oldham last week was about the closest we've come to that, but look at the results, it's all by 1 goal.
Yeah.
And apart from Oldham, the Cambridge game where we got battered, that was 3 goals in 8 minutes, did for us there, 3 absolute worldies as well. But they've all been really close, really nip and tuck, could have gone either way. It was interesting, we were chatting before and you were saying that we've tended to sort of shadow each other in who we've been playing. I think you played Scunthorpe, we've played Cambridge, but apart from that we played exactly the same teams, Port Vale and Cheltenham, Southend and Oldham. But they've all been really narrow games, and I think anybody who watched those and the managers of those teams will be looking at Morecambe at the top of the league probably saying, how did that happen? Because we've not really steamrolled at anybody so far. But I think, yeah, you're right, usually we're looking forward to a new season looking at the teams at the bottom to see who we can pick who might be worse than us. But this season is slightly different, I think. I think we showed enough at the end of last season where we were just sort of pushing ourselves out of that zone to be a little bit more confident about probably not being in a relegation scrap, but top of the league, it's dreams really.
We had on our very quick edition of Higher or Lower earlier on, talking about Derek Allen. He's been there since November last year. Has he sort of made a big difference? Because obviously Jim Bentley was at Morecambe for a long period of time.
Jim was, and we all still love Jim. He's an absolute legend. I was very close with him. He was a sort of manager who he'd come and put his arm around you after a game, and what do you think about that? Really good bloke. And sorry to see him go. Since then, we've seen a completely different manager. Yeah, he's a bit of a journeyman. He's been around. He's here to do a job. He's very professional. He's not here to make friends. I mean, it's been a difficult time because we've not had the fans in, but you kind of get the feeling he's not one of the ones who's going up to the crowd and sort of, you know, joining in celebrations and things like that. He keeps a little bit of a manager-player distance between himself and the players, whereas Jim Bentley, it was nights out together and all that kind of thing. But you've seen, not only in the team selections that he's made, substitutes, the way he changes his strategy as a game's going on, there's really good signs of close management. And it's interesting. There was an interview with John O'Sullivan, our right-sided midfielder, who's one of the leftovers from Jim Bentley's time, really has had to impress the manager to keep his place. And it was interesting, he made a point with 3 victories recently, Southend, Port Vale, Oldham, completely different. Southend, we had to come from a goal behind and we had to change a few things during the game. Did it, won. Port Vale at our place, very big, strong side. You'll have seen them this season. And we had to sit, let them come at us, soak up a lot of pressure, and then hit them on the break and win. And we did. Oldham, we felt at Oldham we could go and play our own natural football. We did that. We got a goal ahead. They equalised fairly swiftly in the second half, but we didn't panic and we managed the game really well, and that's what we're doing at the moment. We're managing games really well.
So having seen Morecambe sort of every game this season, I assume, what are your expectations this afternoon? What are your predictions?
It's weird because we were discussing this in the car on the way down. There's 3 of us. There's the Radio Lancashire chap, myself and my co-commentator. 3 different predictions. I've gone actually for us to get beaten today.
Really?
Yeah, it's just, I think as a manager, it's a brave manager who changes a winning side. You know, and we've won a few on the bounce now. No changes today in the lineup, but I think it's that fine balance between
keeping it fresh,
keeping it at the same side that's been doing well for you, and then there's always just one game where it's a game too far, and it's predicting when that game's going to be. And I just I'm naturally pessimistic going into games with Morecambe anyway. But
I hope on this occasion you're right.
I just have that feeling today might be the one.
Well,
you know.
Personally, I hope you're right. But again, thank you really for coming on here, and
not a problem.
Good luck after today on continuing your great start to the season, and have a safe journey home.
Yeah, cheers.
Thank
you.
So that's it from us here at Talk of the Town, episode 5. Go over to the Crawley Town website, over to your iFollow accounts. The action will be on in 5 minutes' time. So join us there. Enjoy Gary and Tony Vesey over on iFollow. Thanks to Glenn. Thanks to all my guests this afternoon. And we will see you on Tuesday night and on Saturday away to Exeter Tuesday night, away from Salford. We'll be bringing you episode 6 and episode 7 of Talk of the Town. Thanks for joining us this week, and we will see you again on Tuesday night. Come on, you Reds! What a show! If you enjoyed it as much as we did, you need to subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that bell icon so you can be notified about when we are next live here from Talk of the Town. Make sure you don't ever miss an episode, subscribe, hit the bell, and we will see you again very soon.